$6,800 was able to be spent for the administration building AV system. I really hope someone is going to call Digital Age Technology tomorrow because the system is a joke. There were 341 pages of policy changes and updates that you people did not even discuss what any of the updates were. Only Mr. Bohr was fighting for parents to at least have a voice before a vote when it came to Title IX, but no discussion on any of the other changes. And according to the board book, the February 21st, 2022 agenda, that was the last time the Board of Education had public comments before the discussion of the meeting. Several people have asked to bring that back, to at least bring back public comments specifically for items on the agenda, just like what other local government entities do. And again, you guys are a governmental entity. You are our representatives over the public school administration. And it's government funded, taxpayer funded. So next time you can hear from the parents and taxpayers before you vote. And I believe that that was changed since passionate people started showing up. Someone changed the agenda lineup, putting public comments at the end, after you people have already voted on things, making it basically pointless for us to now talk. So I'm going to change tacks here now. But now I'm asking the new superintendent to enact a policy for the high schools to reinstate class rankings, including awarding valedictorians and salutatorians. The reason why I am asking this is because I've been on numerous college tours for my daughter that is a senior this year, and regarding admissions to honors colleges within universities, they want to know where the student ranks. Typically within the top 20% of the class is what they're looking for. And since we don't rank students, we can't give them that information. Perhaps ranking people is not equitable for everyone. Not every person could be number one, but not every student puts forth the same effort or takes difficult AP classes. Equal outcome is not possible, as equal effort will not happen. The only thing that you guys can supply is equal opportunity for all, which I do think that this district does. The schools do a weighted GPA grading system, and I believe the whole system is on computer, so it should really be a fairly easy thing to measure people's metrics. And finally, I'm still asking for consistency with the YouTube uploads, and please film the curriculum and finance meetings. Having been to several of those meetings, there was usually a lot more discussion and information shared during those meetings versus just the summaries presented. You know, like the graphs that were shown at the curriculum meeting, those were good, as opposed to just getting a discussion, you know, giving the overview submission. So please film those, and please get Digital Age Technologies out here tomorrow to fix this system. Thank you.
Jane Krug.
Who?
Jane Krug.
Good evening, and Holly, thank you for being the Riley Gaines for our district. My daughters appreciate it, and I appreciate you. I did come though to discuss policy 4209, which is called the Prohibition Against Abortion Referrals and Assistance. And I'm afraid I'm too late, but in case I'm not, I just want to share my view. I ask that you all do not vote to remove this. I heard the word pregnancy and abortion, but also what I didn't hear is parental right. So by removing that policy, the parent's right is also removed. So if my daughters were to get pregnant, somebody at school could refer them for an abortion without letting me know that. So I do ask you not to remove that policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared?
Jared Czechobowski on White Hills Avenue. Well, it's deja vu all over again. Been here, done this. Got nothing new for the board, but a sincere, warm, and hopeful welcome to Mr. Kirby. And mostly for you, sir, a reprised introduction of observations and concerns expressed at previous meetings. I don't want to make this personal. Scratch that. I do want to make this very personal. First of all, it blows my mind when I realize that I'm old enough to be the father of you all, grandfather to a few. 10 years ago, I was 10 years old. 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 10 years ago, I was 10 years old I'm an ardent student of life and history. I have a toddler's recollection of the late 40s, vivid memories of the golden 50s, flashbacks of the 60s and 70s that range from really groovy, man, to nightmarishly horrific. The last 4 decades or so, well, forever the student, my mind and eyes have been wide open, objectively, honestly observing the disturbing changes in our culture, in our country, in our schools. Over all this time, our public schools have been pivotal agents, provocateurs of those changes. As Ernest Hemingway observed long ago, things change slowly and then, boom, all of a sudden. A frog sits complacently in increasingly hot water until, boom, it's poached. I'm confident that 9 out of 10 folks here would say there's something wrong with America. Well, they're right. So much of what has long been rational, verifiable, common sense, and fundamentally good about our country and its schools has been poached into the steaming mush of woke nonsense. That is why this shareholder, whose child was graduated from Central some 20 years ago, is concerned and engaged in our schools now. I cannot connect in my remaining seconds all the critical dots that span the 100-year history of the American public school system, from John Dewey, atheist, Marxist, and founding father of American public school system, who first touted critical thinking, to critical pedagogy in the 1980s, to critical race theory now, when CRT is now often spelled DEI. And so I look forward to our future meetings, when we'll explore all that and so much more. And again, a very sincere, warm, and hopeful welcome, Mr. Kirby. We trust this is the beginning of many productive conversations and a long-term relationship.
Ryan
Thank you.
Polkeny. Ryan.
My name is Ryan Folkening and I live on Cascade Springs Drive. I stand in front of you all as a follow-up and a reminder of the victims' parents who voiced their concern at the last board meeting before the summer break. I also stand in front of all of you on behalf of the other prior victims' families in our school system, our community that strives for a safe living environment, and for my son who was brutally beaten last fall from a peer of all of their peers that is still currently in our school system. As a reminder, my son had to be taken to the ER, received MRI, CAT scans, was monitored, had follow-up doctor appointments to replace his heart monitor that was ripped off during the event. Had that event not happened a week later, the cardiologist, who had also written a letter of grave concern for his safety, began to cry, as if this happened 1 week later, Levi would not be with us today. And if this were to happen again, he will not be with our family in this community anymore. I state this honest truth in these facts so our message and request for a real solution is heard. We live with it as a family caring for our children, and a family that clearly does not want this ever to happen again to another family, same as the parents who stood up here last meeting. Hopefully there's an understanding of this board and this newly appointed superintendent of how dangerous this individual is. He has a history both inside our school system and outside as well. The clear track of events is getting bigger and more dangerous, beginning with a kill list in elementary school to my son's hospitalization. These events are real and they're documented. It is my understanding that a band-aid of a fix has been put forth. Although I appreciate our cries are being acted on, heard, and noticed, it is simply not enough. I ask that anyone who has responsibility in this board, the new superintendent, and those in leadership who are here to protect and educate our community, watch the video of my son's event before you come to a final conclusion. The brutal beating on that video will not be the last, as this individual is now stronger and bigger as he enters our Forest Hills Central High School's halls, cafeteria, bathrooms, classrooms, Friday night football games, and other events. There also is a psychological effect to all of our children who share these same spaces. My son had black and blue eye and other bodily bruises well into February. This was a daily reminder to every student and peer who passed him that this individual walks among them daily. They do voice their fright, every one of them has, and their own safety, and it does have a negative effect on their ability to feel safe and have an open mind to receive the education from all the great teachers and mentors in our system. It also has a major strain on those teachers and daily workers now in our high school that needs to constantly be distracted to watch this individual everywhere he is for the safety of the kids now that he is larger, and also for their own safety. The temporary Band-Aid must be removed and a more permanent safe solution must be put in place. My ask is for everyone who has a responsibility to make this decision, please, and who's legally able, to make sure that you do watch that video before deciding on a final action plan for this individual. It is rare to see the grown men who have been so shaken by what they saw in the video. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Emily Van Roy.
Good evening, I'm Emily Van Roy. I was an employee, school bus driver for 7 years and a longtime community member. Those of you on the dais who support the Title IX gender ideology language changes to the policies and who otherwise support gender transition therapy for kids are guilty of supporting an ideology that encourages bodily mutilation, confusion, and even permanent damage. I want to make it clear that this Title IX topic is not at its core a legal issue, it's a moral issue. Do you understand the difference between a law and a regulation? What happened to people during the Nuremberg trials after World War II for saying things like, we were just following orders? That language is being used right now as an excuse for fear of losing federal funding. We're just following the guidelines. Ignorance and complacency is not a defense. Gender identity and gender expression is not a subset of sex. Adding such terms to policies is advocating for a replacement of scientific biological fact that the vast majority of people either have XX or XY chromosome pairs. I taught this to my 9-year-old who was in here, I don't know if you saw her. We had to have that discussion. It was scary, to be honest. We had to have that discussion. With reproductive organs at birth consistent with those chromosomes, promoting a narrative that gender is a social construct and that it should be malleable at a whim normalizes mental illness. It is a fact, or it is a false narrative that gender is assigned at birth. It is a fact that biological sex exists independently from whimsical notions about it, and it's observed at birth and not assigned. Gender expression should not be on the same plane as chromosome-driven biological physiology, and it's the path to normalization of puberty blockers, which, if you didn't know, are the same drugs given to sex offenders to chemically castrate them. This should not be advocated for. We have allowed the left to frame this topic as a rights issue, as a legal issue, when in truth it's truly a moral issue. That ideology normalizes gender dysphoria, which is mental illness, and doing so ultimately leads to encouraging young people who are too young to understand fully the weight of their decisions to engage in bodily mutilation and self-sterilization. I know that's hard to hear, but it's true. And that ultimately can be considered genocide. There is no way to view this otherwise. No softer, soothing words that can make it be what it is not. It's like population control. I have a position paper that I'll leave behind if you want to read. It addresses these things in greater depth. And why do I say this? It's because there could be future Einsteins or Leonardo da Vinci's or even Elon Musk's and entire generations of them who will not have a chance to be born because entire family trees will have been eliminated as a result of gender ideology. And we cannot, as a civilization, allow this topic to be framed as something other than what it is. It's a moral issue.
Thank you.